Order, Parks Commission meeting for October 16th, 2025. Millie, attendance, please.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Present.
Commissioner Cacciaroni,
Here.
Commissioner Darty,
Here.
Commissioner Serrato,
Here.
Commissioner Stratton,
Here.
Commissioner Turner. Here.
Okay, item number 3, acceptance of the minutes. Let's start with June 12th of 2025, if everybody's had a chance to recall that far back and take a look at them. Any comments from the commission?
No comments.
Millie, if you'd like to take a roll call?
Nope,
I'll
we
need
need
a motion.
Motion.
I make a motion to approve the June 12th minutes.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Cacciaroni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
yes,
Commissioner Stratton,
Abstain.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
We'll move on to the September 18th minutes. Any comments or questions on those? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the September minutes.
Second.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Abstain.
Commissioner Cacciaroni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
yes,
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Moving forward to the public participation portion of this meeting. There will be a 2-hour time limit for this meeting unless a majority of the commission members present vote to extend the allotted time. So at this time, if anybody has anything to say on the public agenda items, a person may speak for no more than 3 minutes in total on any of the agenda items listed.
So for the record, this is for anybody who did not submit a request. So anybody that's not submitting the request can come up now and speak, and then when we get to your item, the individual that has submitted the item can speak at that point. So ideally, I think for now, if there's anybody that has any comments, particularly on the naming or any of the other items on there, now would be the time to show support or whatever else.
I think, Counselor,
You're going to wait, Counselor.
if anybody would like to, for example, if anybody would like to speak on Counselor's item on the agenda, now is your time to speak, not when she's presenting, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to the Commissioner's report. Rob?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have in your agenda the proposed fees and policy recommendations for the golf course, and would like to have the commission review those, and if there's any questions. Just for reference, so we have in here league fees, have an increase in league fees. Those fees have not increased since 2020. Season permits went up last year, but for the last, since 2016, has only been increased $300 since 2016. For our rate increase for the range has not changed its fee structure since 2019, the day we opened. And the last greens fee increase was in '24, which was $2. But since 2016, the total increase has been $7 since 2016. So give you at least a little bit of perspective. In the packages, you'll see sort of the policy change and the fees, as well as a reference to other golf courses in the area and what their unlimited pass and 18-hole weekend look like for fees. So I'd be happy to take any questions. We are out to bid right now with our new maintenance contract. So that we'll be looking to award that in the coming month or so. That will begin on January 1, and it will be a 6-year term on that contract. So we'll be looking on that end of it. There will be increases in that functionality and that workload on our end of it. The City Council did approve a 6-year agreement or up to a 6-year agreement based on the city managers and my recommendation to the city manager and his ultimate approval of it.
If I may, I appreciate the update, and I really like the breakdown of the incremental increases that have gone on over time. It seems fair and reasonable. To me, these are not very large increases, and it's been clearly quite some time since several of these changes have been made. So I don't have any particular flags with any of the proposed changes. I just did have a question on the current unlimited pass for our course. I see the breakdown of all the other courses. Seems like Kettlebrook is 2,800 and the Wachusett is 3,500. So those seem to be some of the higher tier ones, and then you have some fluctuation from there. So where do we fall in, and how much is our unlimited pass?
So our unlimited pass, and of course, that's in my office, but our unlimited pass is about 1,400.
Okay.
I can confirm that for you, but it's in that ballpark.
In that ballpark of,
Yeah.
which is great to see. Okay,
So, you all set?
I'm good.
So my question about these fees and policies, and it's funny that you bring up the maintenance agreement. My question is it possible that we could visit a maintenance agreement for the first 2 years, 2 to 3 years, instead of the full 6? Because I have gotten some feedback from some frequent users of the golf course who are kind of disappointed in the maintenance of the course itself. And so I really hate to see us increase, but not increase or do something to improve our maintenance on the course, because past maintenance has been an issue for users of the course.
So all of our contracts are for 3 years.
3 years.
On initial term, and then they're 1-year extensions.
Gotcha, okay. So it'll be 3 years and then to 1 year.
Yeah, so what that does is it gives us the availability to address concerns or if we choose to go to to go back out to bid on that particular function, so.
Okay. No, that's all. That was all.
Like others said, I certainly appreciate the clarity with regards to when the fees have changed and how much. That helps a lot as we're reviewing this material. I did have a question with regards to, I noticed the add to rules, any physical altercations or result in a player being trespassed from the golf course. Is that in response to any particular incident, or is that just in line with sort of other rules that have been implemented elsewhere?
Both. So we've had instances where golfers have got into altercations, and we've had to address those. So we're trying to clean up our policies and procedures and include that as a specific item.
Great, and again, with regards to the changes around rain dates and others, I certainly appreciate, we're going from this to this. It made reviewing this a lot easier for us, so thank you.
And just for the record, the current membership is $1,500 for an unlimited pass. We also have weekday passes, senior passes, junior passes. We have a monthly pass. We have a veterans pass, both unlimited and weekday. So there's a wide variety of passes in there.
Just one follow-up question. Through the chair to the commissioner. It looks like we're gonna develop an early booking window, beyond the current 7-day window, which is phenomenal, because when I go to book tee time, sometimes I forget that 7-day window, and then there's no available spots. Do we know how far in advance? And the 20-day per time, the reservation fee, the non-refundable fee, I think it's warranted, because people just don't show up.
Right.
Do you have an idea of how long?
So we're looking at that as being, a month or two. We get a lot of requests for bachelorette parties, bachelor parties, for family golf outings that don't really fall into the tournament world. They're really a tee time event where they're going out in foursomes and they want to be right behind each other.
Yeah.
And for your point, it just, sometimes you just can't find enough time for 15, 20 people or 16, 20 people.
Yep.
And so this would give that. The problem lies is that people will sign up and then not show up. And now all of a sudden, you've lost that revenue, because as soon as that tee time goes by, that revenue is,
It's gone.
it's like flying a plane, right? If you don't fill the seat, once that plane takes off, you've lost that revenue. So we don't really want to lose the revenue side of it by offering this. So we're putting in a fee. Now that fee will just be deducted from the final cost when they come in and come in and get ready to play.
There's no other
So Rob, I assume you want us to vote on these for tonight? Or
If you
look-
could,
we can.
if the commission
So,
is willing, that would be great.
If there's no other questions or concerns on this item from the commission, if somebody wants to make a motion.
Motion to approve the rules for the golf league's policies to be amended and changed, as well as the new recommended fee structure.
Second.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Charteroni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
You okay? Okay, moving on, we have no old business. Moving on to new business. The individual and organization or group who has placed an item on the agenda may speak for no more than 5 minutes in total on the item they have submitted. So just please keep that in mind when we're up there. First item we have, request of District 2 City Councilor Candy Merrill Carlson to approve the naming of the playground at East Park, otherwise known as Christopher Colombo Park, in honor of Gary Vecchio.
Thank you. Just really wanted to come and ask for the support of this. This is something, the naming of East Park for our good friend Gary Vecchio, and for those who may not have known him, Gary was what we called on the east side, especially at East Park, he was the mayor. And for many, many years, Gary took care of Shrewsbury Street, East Park, also was somebody who served on the Parks Commission, the Citizens Advisory Council, the Mayor's Task Force on Tax Policy, the CSX Advisory Committee, the Eastside Community Development Corporation. And during this time, Gary never, up until the day that Gary went into the hospital, he never rested. He was always doing something for the community. And Gary certainly was also instrumental in fighting against the Worcester State Hospital closure, and then helped to build the Worcester Recovery Center. His dedication to those who were stricken with mental health issues landed Gary another appointment to the UMass Worcester State Hospital Advisory Committee. And again, until Gary's dying day, he led the Shrewsbury Street Neighborhood Association, which, trust me, as the district councilor, I can tell you how much Shrewsbury Street, there's a huge void down there for all the work that Gary did. And quite frankly, for all the work that he did over the years for the businesses, for this city. And Parks was one of Gary's, something that was really close to his heart. And I thought that it's only fitting for us as a city, and certainly for somebody who represents the Shrewsbury Street area, that it would really be fitting to name the playground down at Shrewsbury Street after Gary. So I really would appreciate your support on this. And again, there has not been another individual in this city that has worked as hard as Gary did for all of the residents that in the area of the Shrewsbury Street. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, to continue on with what the counselor stated, Gary was, God knows, Gary was a lot when it came to Shrewsbury Street, and he was dedicated. But it was even more than that when it came to parks. It was every single park as a parks commissioner, always there, always looking for, how we do better, supporting, the park construction projects that we had moving forward, all of that. So his dedication was to Shrewsbury Street, into that area, but it was much more in the park world. It was much more throughout, at the time, between 50 and 54 and 64, depending on when it was. And he did that until the day he passed. Like, we'd still get emails from him. I would still get calls from him about certain things, about certain items, about certain issues that the commission was doing or whatever else. So his dedication to parks was above many, many others that, that I've witnessed or been part of over my 28 years with the city of Worcester. So in our opinion, this is without a doubt definitely deserved and warranted with his dedication.
I have, I kind of don't agree, and here's why I don't agree. I don't think we should be renaming the playground. I think we should be renaming the park. I would like to see this be the park and not just the playground renamed after Gary. Is that something that we, through the chair to the commissioner, is that something we would have to go back through the process for?
So we would. The other issue with that is that East Park, Christopher Colombo already has two names. To add a third name or to rename it, when the counselor and I talked about it, we felt, and the counselor can speak as well, that what Gary did was a lot for the children of the neighborhood, the children of the area, and we felt like the playground was one of the best choices for that, and it really set forward sort of what some of his guiding principles were. He is very similar when we renamed the playground at Holmes Field as well for Gordon Hargrove from Friendly House. Very similar, right? Very much active on that. But the dedication was really, yes, to the neighborhood, but, when he sat in these meetings, it was about the children, about the kids, and about that. And that's one of the reasons why the counselor and I went that direction and chose that.
Okay.
I think I actually recommended it on my end, that I think that was, that was the most appropriate way to recognize him for what he had done.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
The playground at East Park was in pretty tough shape for a lot of years. Gary made a choice to use CSX funds to rebuild that playground because that's how important it was for him, for the children in the neighborhood. And that's all part of why those of us from the Shrewsbury Street Neighborhood Association and also as a representative of the Shrewsbury Street area really feel strongly about the playground being renamed after Gary because, again, he spent his life, quite honestly, making sure that the parks were all there for families and especially for our children. And again, I can't emphasize enough about that playground at East Park and all the discussions over several months and years that we talked about that playground. And that playground really got done because of Gary, and Gary willing to use, because Gary was also the chair of the committee of the CSX funds, and he made a decision when we as a city couldn't afford to, at the time, couldn't afford to do that playground. So that's all part of the discussion that I had with Commissioner Antonelli. So we as a neighborhood really feel strongly about, it would be great for this playground to be named after somebody like Gary. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Merrill Carlson, for that context.
If I may, I'm a huge proponent of, when we're naming items in parks nowadays, to not rename the larger entity of the park, only because you do, no matter what park, I mean, we're all 150 years removed from some of these names in our city parks or buildings, wherever they are. Naming a portion of the park for a newer generation of people we should remember is kind of a nice medium, as opposed to just renaming a park for someone just because they're in our recent memory. So I'm in favor of this. Anybody else?
I'm completely in favor. I mean, it sounds like an honorable man, and somebody that the entire city of Worcester, especially Shrewsbury Street, the neighborhood, should be really proud of. So, that's my comment before.
And it seems consistent with what the commission's done with fields at Indian Hill Park recently, and I believe down in the Kendrick Field. So I'm in favor as well.
Not much to add to that. I mean, frankly, having seen this on the agenda, I had previously reviewed his obituary online, and it was frankly quite impressive to see how involved this individual was in the city and advocating for its residents. So, I will make a motion to approve this renaming of the playground at East Park in honor of Gary Vecchio.
Second.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Cacciaroni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Moving along, item B on the agenda, request of Commissioner Darty to discuss expectation setting for the boards and commissions information session and insight into the agenda to ensure all are well-informed and prepared to productively participate in the meeting.
Yeah, so pretty straightforward. I'm attending the meeting, and this will be my
Thank you
first
all
time.
for coming.
Thank you all for coming. Congratulations. We'd just like some insight into, how we've shown up in the past and what the expectation would be from
Yep.
Commissioner.
So through the chair, this meeting is an informational meeting. There'll be there may be one individual that will speak at the beginning of it, but it'll be sort of a tabled event where we'll have members of the Parks and Rec Commission, Hope Cemetery Commission, and Urban Forestry Commission at the table with some staff from our office, and they'll be there to be able to take questions about the commission, what you do, what it's about, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So there's no set presentation on that. There'll be some information. They'll be able to sign up with the Citizens Advisory Council. What they're trying to do is be able to do that right there and then, or at least have a paper copy that they could then take and scan in and get into a system. That hasn't been worked out yet, but we'll know more when we get into the beginning of November on that end of it. But for the most part, it's going to be behind a table, interacting with everybody that's in there. I would envision that the commissions that I staff would be the most vocal ones, just because you're pretty vocal in everything else. So I think that's what I'm why I want a commission member or two there to be able to be that voice and to know what it's like and what it's about and, and that kind of information. As it sort of flushes out, we'll send you some more information on that. We're working with the Human Resource Department to be able to sort of get all of those details worked out. I wanted to get it out to everybody way in advance so that we could set everything up, and then as we get closer, we'll send out some more information.
Thank you.
Can I just speak? Rob, I appreciate your organization because you do try to inform us way in advance for things. So thank you.
And a question, a follow-up question on this. I know there are 2 events that you had listed in the email for it. Are you looking for different participants for each event, or same people, or combination thereof, really?
I'll take as many or that I can get for each one. So I envisioned it being that we'd take 2, for each day, right? That was sort of what I envisioned, thinking that, some people aren't going to be able to do it. Others, can only do 1 day kind of thing. So I threw it out there, but as many of you that would like to attend is fine. It is a informational session at that point.
And I guess the follow-up to that I would have is, when would you need to know by? I assume as soon as you can, but.
Right now, I think we're good. We have numbers, right? On that with everybody? Yeah, I think we're good on numbers. So I don't think I need to know right now, but if your schedule changes and you want to show up and see the next board that one of you may want to be on after you're done here, be a good mechanism for you to do that as well.
Trying to get rid of us, Ralph?
I'm not trying to get rid of anybody, just
Oh, I'm coming back.
as vocal as you are, I know there's another board for you.
I'm coming back.
So,
So I guess we want,
motion, sorry.
we want to make the motion to, are you, yeah,
File.
anyone else, Andrew, you all set, nothing? Okay, so,
Andy, how about you?
I'm all set. I'm good.
I'll make a motion to file.
anybody want a second?
Second.
Okay.
I did,
Andrew.
Andrew.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Chacharoni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Moving on, Commissioner Darty's been busy. Request of Commissioner Darty to discuss any upcoming holiday events. A, what is being planned? B, are there any new restrictions? C, for private events, is there a list of people and contact information on who is managing the event, or vendors may want to contact them directly? Commissioner?
Just as it's, as it is, just want to know basically what's coming up for the holidays.
Through the chair to the commissioner, the only thing we have on the docket right now is
Tree.
Festival of Lights,
Okay.
scheduled for the 5th, December 5th. It's a Friday evening where we'll be lighting the common, having ice skating on the rink, and the festivities that we've had over the past few years. So nothing different on that end of it. We don't have anything else that's really set yet. Usually, programming-wise, doesn't happen until we get to the spring. Until we get to January, when we'll do Martin Luther King's birthday weekend. We'll do the week of, we'll do the week between Christmas and New Year's. We'll open up every day. We'll do the week of President's Week, the Kids Break Week. We'll do that as well. So, but those don't really happen until we get a little bit further into December, before those start getting planned out. So if anybody's interested in any of that, the cultural office is the one that promotes and puts those on. So we are the operational support. Cultural office does the setup and performers and brings in all of the the food vendors and all of that.
Excellent, thank you. I always wondered why it was just one night, like if there could be multiple nights, but that would be work.
So it's really a sort of that first night is the the launch of,
Right.
of the lighting downtown and all of, in that setup. And then we do every weekend. So we have the rink open every Friday, Saturday, and Sundays as well.
Yeah.
And then during the Christmas, New Year's break time, there's, when the kids are out of school, we'll have that whole time open and operational as well. So there's a lot of legwork that goes into it. And so we really try to focus a lot of that onto certain weekends and weeks where there's holidays and that, so that there's a little bit more time. People are a little bit more able to be able to enjoy the festivities on that end.
Awesome. Yeah, no way. I enjoy the skating rink. I had my son's 7th birthday party there last year, so it's awesome. Cool. That was it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any commissioners? No?
I'll make a motion to file.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Charteroni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Moving on, item D, the request of Commissioner Darty to understand how to add speed bumps on the streets in front of all parks. So this is interesting. I just got a notice prior to this meeting, and it looks like the Traffic and Parking Committee is where I would go. And it looks like Counselor Donna M. Colorio is the chairperson of this standing committee. So I've been invited because I own a property on Belmont Street, and it looks like they're trying to put some sort of speed hump in front of the park over there. And I guess my observation, and the reason I added this, was because I've started to notice that the speed humps have been put up in different areas throughout the city, and I think it's really helped curb the rate of how fast people are driving, and I really appreciate it. And I live walking distance to 2 parks, actually, to the Jack Barry Field, which there's going to be a new playground being developed and put in over there, which is phenomenal, of course, and then Holmes Field, and then again, I have properties throughout the city that have abutting 2 different parks. In particularly, I think if you add speed humps, which again, I think it's a different commission, but I wanted to raise the flag here because there's so many different family members and people walking to parks and bike riding to parks, and people are just flying up and down the roads. Belmont Street in particular, the park there, it's basically like a racetrack. Trying to get across the street, you're playing Frogger. So I would say to the commissioners and to the commissioner that anything that we can do to advocate to get speed humps or stop lights or the flashing yellow lights to slow down, the yield signs in front of parks could potentially save a life. So I understand I have to put this through this commission, but I'm hoping
Yeah, so
that we
through the
can.
chair to the commissioner, your best option is to petition those through your district counselor or through the petition process with the clerk. They'll be then submitted, so it's Transportation and Mobility are the ones that are implementing the speed humps, whether they're the temporary ones that, we had put out years ago and now are becoming more permanent. So if you go there, that would be the place to start that process. And then Transportation and Mobility will be the ones that will be looking to implement those. We're actually looking at this. I actually met with the Green Hill Park Coalition. We're looking to maybe look at that in Green Hill Park because we have a speeding problem in Green Hill Park. And I don't know what a stop sign is problem in Green Hill Park.
Or a pothole.
So we're looking to try to do some of that. In what I've done, I've let Transportation Mobility sort of move forward with the way they've gone through this, what they've put in, how the design works. And now we're looking at trying to mimic what they're doing with the permanent speed humps in other areas and try to bring those into the core of Green Hill Park to slow some people down, particularly near crosswalks and in front of the Green Hill Farm and those kinds of locations. because we do have a small table over here near the school. But, you know, there's some other issues, you know, further into the core of the park. So we're looking at that now that there's been a set system and we know what the design looks like and how do we make that happen and do that. So that's part of what I'm looking at as a budgetary item for fiscal '27.
And to Commissioner, if it's, I think if something you want to do, I don't mind, you know, if you want to write a letter, I don't mind signing a letter on behalf of a member of Parks Commission for you. If you go to those meetings to the Traffic Advisory Committee there to implement speed humps in front of parks, you say, hey, you know, a couple board members, commission members are on board with this.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation. I'll have that drafted.
And you reach out to whoever wants to sign it,
Yeah.
that's all.
So just for the record, remember, right?
To get a petition.
So if you're gonna sign anything, it can only be 3 of you, because a quorum is 4, unless you approve it through this commission.
And I would, you know, to my fellow commissioner, you know, I would echo your concerns, and I would frankly advocate to bring it back to the commission, and you know, I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone on this committee who isn't also concerned about, frankly, speeding in the city. I know, you know, frankly, I'll be the first to admit, I know I have a heavy foot, and I catch myself periodically. Rob, it is really nice to hear that you're looking at sort of implementing some more of that in Green Hill Park. The only sort of caveat I would have to that is working with probably DPW or Traffic and Mobility, or, you know, whomever is appropriate, that some of it too, rather than just speed humps, also considering other environmental design in terms of, you know, if the road shifts slightly, it also causes people to slow down, rather than having a nice long straight shot where they speed up until the next speed hump and then slow down very quickly. You know, I think that there's a lot of different ways we can do that. I think the only concern I would have is just, you know, in front of every park gets a little tricky depending on where those parks are, and the type of street. But I think that generally anything we can do to try and calm traffic is going to be beneficial, and likewise I think will really help with saving lives, or at least, you know, protecting children, you know, people enjoying the park, people walking, biking, other motorists. So I would advocate to bring it back to the commission, and we can look at it here.
Thank you. Will do.
So I'll make a motion to file this item.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Chacharoni,
Yes, do you want to check the screen too, something?
Yeah.
Oh, did we lose service? Oh, we
Actually-
lost internet, I think.
Yes.
Oh,
It's still there.
Commissioner
Yes.
Doherty,
yes,
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
okay, moving on. Item E, the request of Nancy Ortiz to discuss the Southwester Playground handball and basketball courts and Green Hill Park handball court. Ms. Ortiz.
I was here last May of 2024 to follow up on my numerous concerns regarding the condition of the outdoor handball courts at both Green Hill and Southwester, including Crompton, but Crompton is not what's on the agenda. It's Southwester handball courts and the basketball courts, which are part of the Southwester Master Plan from 2015, because I was here back in February 5th of 2015. And I recall back in April, May of 2017, when they had the ribbon cutting for the playground, the handball portion, the basketball, were not really touched. There had been some improvement with the backboards and all that. And we did some touch-ups with the help of the Worcester Rotary Club and the Friends Zamaskis group with former District 4 City Councilor Barbara Haller. Southwester got renovated back in 2007. Will and I who represent the New England Handballers Association, Inc., which is a nonprofit. We advocate for handball courts. We play handball, all forms of handball. This is one-wall handball, and we play the 3-wall and the 4-wall version indoor. And we just want an update on the Southwestern courts since, for the past few years, I've been asking, oh, when is this gonna get done, and, there's no funding. So I just want to follow up on Southwestern handball courts and the basketball courts, which didn't get touched. And I know back in, 2004, when the park was redone, it didn't get touched at all. It just got ignored. And there was talk about removing the court that's been there for over 40 years. My husband and I have been advocating for it and maintaining it. And I know Commissioner Antonelli has provided materials, painting, and we've done the free labor to just keep it up. But it is in the block. It's been there for over 40 years. And everybody who thinks of handball, they think of the Cambridge Street Wall. That's right on Camp and Southwestern. So we just want to know what's the update. And also the Green Hill handball courts, which been in existence since 2002. And we've been advocating for perimeter fencing for a long time. A partial fencing was provided through CSX funding through former Mayor Joe O'Brien when he was in office back in 2011, I believe. And the floors have been redone back in 2016, October 2016.
Yeah, 2017.
In 2017, they were patched up and then done by Sports Trek. And then, COVID happened, cinder blocks were put on, both Southwestern and Green Hill, and now we're here in 2025. Today is October 16. And we just want to know what's going to happen with the handball courts, because those are amenities to the parks, and that's affordable recreation. And it's recreation for everyone. And you could play multiple sports on it. If you don't know anything about it, you could play tennis on it. I see people practice their tennis at Green Hill. I see people doing it at Crompton, in Southwestern, and playing handball, play paddleball, play one-wall racquetball. What we don't want to see on those handball courts, which we have witnessed, is people rollerblading on the handball courts. No, we don't want that. Especially at Crompton where the floors were redone, and we don't want people riding their bikes like happens here at Green Hill and riding the skateboards on it. Although there's a sign up there, it doesn't do anything. William, for 2 summers, this summer and the previous summer, he repainted the back. Not just repainted it, patched up the cracks. So, we give a lot of love to these amenities. And we care about the parks too. We love parks. We want to be on the parks. So we just want to know the update on Southwestern handball courts, and if there's funding for perimeter fencing for the handball courts at Green Hill, because it needs to be repaved. And if you look on the parking side where the fields are, if you back up and you play, you end up hitting your leg against a huge gap between the fence and the asphalt. And we just want to extend that and put perimeter fencing so the ball that we use, which is a moving ball, doesn't go into the street, because sometimes you hit sideways shots and it goes way back. And then we want to prevent people that go skating and use the skate park to not do shortcut, because that is the problem. And people go there for skating, and I know on Sunday mornings when I used to come up and play handball with the guys on early Sunday morning, I know they have to mow the lawn because there's grass around it. So we could prevent people from, driving their lawnmower on it, because I seen it, and at least tire marks. we're just very protected, just like if I was a tennis enthusiast, which I enjoy playing tennis too, and pickleball, I don't want people messing up the courts, right? So it's about preservation and protection, and to be used for what it's intended for, not for rollerblading, not for skateboarding, because occasionally we see people at Crompton Skate Park make the way over here, and I said, nah, you go back over there, because we respect your space, you have to respect this space. And we say that also to the rollerbladers as well, the adults that are rollerblading. Because if we're not on the courts at Crompton, they'll end up on the tennis courts at Crompton too.
Well, just wanted to say thank you as well for, all the paint and all the stuff you provided, and even allowing us to repair and fix it. I noticed something was mentioned about the speeding at Green Hill, so that's one of the issues that we have with the not having a fence, because the ball constantly goes on the street side, on the former Skyline Drive. So when the ball goes in the street, you have to go get it, and there's maybe a motorcycle flying by or a car, and it's a little bit risky. But other than that, even just to play, like if you play on a tennis court without a fence, it's hard to use, and it helps protect it. But we do appreciate the help over the years. There's been other times that they've given us paint for the courts and everything like that, and provided other materials. So we're just advocating for what we've been advocating for quite a while. So, just wanted to bring that up, if there are any updates or anything like that.
Through the chair to the assistant commissioner, is that your title? Commissioner. Oh, commissioner, oh, my bad.
It's what it was before.
Okay. It's is there an update on the status of, any projects in the South Worcester parks in particular, and Green Hill, for the handball courts?
So we submitted a grant application in July of this year for South Worcester, which would redo the handball court and the basketball court, with some minor renovations to some other amenities, walking paths and that kind of stuff. Both facilities would have lights. We have not heard on that grant yet. It's a $475,000 grant. So we have not heard on that grant as of yet from the Commonwealth. And so once we know that, then we would look to move forward with something. So we'll see sort of how that plays out. So if we do get the grant, we would start construction in July of 2026. If we don't get the grant, then we'll have to reevaluate how that's going to work and how the funding works out. So it's probably close to, I think our estimate's somewhere in the $1.4 million range for the full renovation over there. So that's what's going on at South Worcester. Up in Green Hill, there is no funding available at this point, and I don't have anything available there. We spent our money on other areas in Green Hill Park that were, a necessity as well. So at this point in time, there is no plans for Green Hill Park.
Rob, would it be possible to, with regards to if the funding doesn't pan out for South Worcester or even for the effort at Green Hill Park, is this something that they could, that the Parks Department could potentially support them going for funding through the CPC for some of these renovations? Obviously not, probably not, and I'm sort of assuming scope here a little bit, but maybe not like $1.4 million in terms of renovations, but in terms of for repairs or looking at doing fencing, for example, for Green Hill Park. Is this something that the Parks Department could potentially support if they wanted to look at CPA funding potentially as an option for this? And I'm just thinking through some of the projects that were funded the last cycle. For example, the staircase that's going to be at the back end of Green Hill Park here. I say back end, I'm not sure of the correct orientation, but I'm just thinking that again, that could be potentially an option in terms of funding, and depending on cost, it may be frankly one of the more reasonable projects submitted to CPC. Given that some of those projects come through with multiple $1 million or, six figures, high six figures for a lot of those projects that we saw last cycle, it may be something that's much more affordable. Is that something potentially Parks could support, them looking to seek funding through that?
That would be something that we would look at as an opportunity. As you know, we got to be careful with how that plays out with the supplanting of city money and other stuff, but there could be an opportunity for some of that. Again, we'll know more sort of as we move into, the next month or so. I anticipate that they're gonna tell us in the next month or so, but I haven't heard anything as of yet, so.
So I would probably advocate then as well, if you haven't already, it may be worth looking at the community preservation funds, the CPA funds that are available through the city, and looking, because they're moving towards their fall funding cycle soon. So you'll see info sessions and things like that. But potentially as a nonprofit, you could look at possibly applying. There are sort of limitations in what those funds can and cannot be used for. So I would advocate probably looking up that information, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me or to the city. The city has a staff member sort of assigned to that committee who would be happy to kind of point you in that direction. But that might be something too for funds to potentially look at some of these projects in sort of coordination with Rob with regards to the park, kind of agreeing to, yes, we have no concerns or issues with you all doing this particular type of work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, but I'm gonna end up keep coming here multiple times, and it's been over 20 years. We have been doing this since the inception of Green Hill, 2002. So you think we're just gonna back away and surrender?
Oh,
No,
no,
but
we're
it's
not.
been
Yeah,
till
yeah.
2002.
Yeah,
So,
we're just-
I mean, when you say there's other parks that have needs, yes, but every time, other parks, other locations have been put on need, but we've been, advocating for this perimeter fencing. We've been advocating for South Worcester, and it's just being put in the back burner. And I'll keep coming over here with, I know the last time we spoke, the Worcester Parks Commission was supposed to write a letter to the city manager for the Green Hill handbook courts for the fencing. I don't know what came out of that. How did City Manager Batista responded to that before, he took over at Augustus? And also the quote that I got from Commissioner Antonelli for the fencing, $140,000. And I got another quote from another person that did some fencing at Totade Park in Leicester. And the quote was, quite less, because I know it's different from place to place, but it's, it was a $40,000 quote just for the rest of the fencing for 10-foot black fence. So I want to know where's the equity here, and if you're thinking of pickleball courts, and you have people from the Worcester Pickleball Group that are advocating for pickleball here at Green Hill. They get what they want quick because it's a need. There's also a need too for whether it's tennis, whether it's fixing up a playground, do some upgrades, make it more ADA compliant, whatever it is. But it's not my first time coming here before the commission, before a city council, talking to Park Spirit, talking to other organizations to see how can we work together, how can you help us out? Because, I'm not gonna give up, and I'm gonna keep coming here, and you're gonna tell me the same thing. Go to 3 CPA, which I will.
No, so just for clarity, I'm not saying don't come to us, and I'm certainly not advocating that we don't fund it. I'm simply trying to sort of mention there's another potential funding source as well that may allow for this to move forward more quickly. Again, just thinking towards there's a balancing of multiple needs, and I'll say too, there are resources I've certainly mentioned with Rob before that I'd like to see in Worcester in terms of more bicycle infrastructure and parks, things like that. But I also acknowledge that there's limitations of funding. It varies from cycle to cycle in terms of how much is there, and also that the Parks Commission is not the one that sets the budget, that is City Council who controls those purse strings. And so what I'm simply advocating is that there are funds that will be available for awarding, and as a nonprofit, you as an organization could apply for those funds potentially Again, there's specific requirements that, you have to meet. And I'm more than happy to meet with you and kind of walk you through what I'm aware of with that, and also connect you with the city staff member that we have on the CPC to look at that as possibly trying to get funding through that cycle, because that's outside of this group, and to some degree, city council for that either approves, disapproves, or reduces. They don't get to really, nitpick it quite as much, for lack of a better descriptor.
No, for something like that, is that something that is gonna be upon approval, like where you apply for something and are guaranteed to
So
get
you-
that funding, because
It's
it's been,
not-
like I said, it's,
It's not a guarantee, so
Yeah.
to give you an idea, I mean, like for this is all sort of, I think there were 32 projects that applied last cycle and 18 got funded. But, part of that too is there's a limited amount of funds there also. Some people didn't get everything they asked, some people didn't get anything, some people, got exactly what they asked. But I'm thinking that for something like, for example, the fencing, that may be something that, you might have a shot at with that. And so I'm trying to just say, this is another possible avenue to get to your end goal of getting that work done.
no, I get that. It's just unfortunate, like, from the original construction, it didn't have any fencing in 2002. It's 23 years later. We got back fencing, in 2010. So that's 15 years of extra advocacy. 15, that's a long time. That's like
Oh, certainly.
you have a child and they grow up and then you become a grandfather. That amount, 20, that's a long time, you know what I mean? Like, that's someone's career
I can
in the city,
certainly,
like 30 years of waiting for something. It's,
I can certainly appreciate that. I live on a spot that's like, we've got about maybe, a quarter mile between us and the sidewalk to connect us to the city, and we have sidewalk going the other way, but we have a little gap in between, and according to my neighbors, same kind of thing, where it's, it's been this long stretch to try and get that piece connected.
So, through the chair to the speakers, I just, overall, what Commissioner Stratton is talking about, it's a new program that has been created by the state that allows community members, as an individual person, an organization, or a private company to get funding for projects. So it's a new grant application. Their first year was last year, and it's made up of different commission and board members. And it's called the CPA, which is Conservation,
CPC.
that's it.
Yeah,
The compu-
CPA is funding it, or CPC.
The
is the
CPC, yes. So it's a new fund that the state has put out, has made all the communities in the state contribute to. So it's an extra 1.5% that you're paying separately out of your taxes. And it's a new grant fund opportunity for improvements into a city, town, or state. And each city, and town within the state are putting these into place. And ours just started last year. And Commissioner Stratton actually sits on that commission as a representative from the Parks Commission, because there's representatives from different boards and commissions from the city, and they vote on these grant applications to give out this extra grant in funding towards projects within the city. So this is just an extra avenue for you to go to kind of see about making up that gap.
is there a deadline? Like,
So the funding, I pulled up their webpage, so the fall 2025 funding round, it should be opening soon, so there'll be more information. And if you want to, either give me your email addresses, I'm happy to sort of send you, here's the webpage for it, here's where you can get more information. There'll be information sessions about what's the project look like, how do you apply, but as Commissioner Turner was mentioning, it's also limited to its affordable housing, conservation, historic preservation, and recreation, so parks. So it's limited to those 4 categories. That's all that the funds can be potentially used for. And so, it's worth looking, and you can see the things that got funded last cycle as well. So what was funded, how much, what do they fall under? A number of them were under that sort of recreation and conservation category. So, I'm more than happy to sort of talk with you more about it, if you want to get me your information, or otherwise I can connect you as well with the community preservation manager, who's the city sort of employee who's sort of assigned to that particular committee, and handles a lot of the sort of initial, questions intake related to those applications.
Okay.
And then that way, that funding can be earmarked for that project, and Commissioner Antonelli can work with that funding to get the perimeter fencing for Green Hill Park, or wherever else the gaps are within, for handball courts, or however else you propose it for, the handball courts around the city. It's definitely an extra avenue. It's not just relying on these grant applications that the city has. It's an outside way for you to kind of get that support. So I think it's a really good avenue.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into it and see, we'll find out more about it.
And
We'll get your information.
this young man is,
All right, thank you.
Just one other point, and this is for everybody, so that everybody understands. We in parks we have a lot of needs. And I know you talk about Green Hill and this and that. We are finally touching a park that hasn't been touched in 28 years this year at Great Brook Valley. We are finally touching and completing another park that was 27 years, which is Tacoma. We've just finished a couple of parks that hadn't been touched in 25, 26 years. So I understand the frustration. I get it. I'm frustrated as well sometimes. But there's a lot of need throughout the city of Worcester that is there in a lot of different neighborhoods with a lot of different projects. And, we're trying our best. I mean, we're getting on a yearly basis at least $1 million from the federal government for land and water conservation fund projects. We're hitting with a lot of $500,000, $450,000, $500,000 grants from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We're looking for all of those things to make projects feasible and make them. CPA is a new component for the city of Worcester. We've just approved that a number of years ago. The money is now coming in, so that's another avenue for us. But please understand, there's no way we're getting to everything that everybody wants in a short period of time. There is too much out there at too high of a cost. Not that I like it either, and we're trying to do the best that we can with it, but there are budgetary restrictions on that side of it. So just want to preface the whole conversation that Green Hill Park and that court is the only thing that hasn't been touched, or South Worcester is the only thing that hasn't been touched. That's not the case. It's citywide. It's all over the place on our end of it. So, and we're working towards that. We're making great strides right now. ARPA was a great component for us. We got, a good amount of money on the ARPA side to do some projects on that. We've identified those. So we're getting there, but we're not there, and it's not going to happen overnight either. So.
And I will say, Rob, we certainly appreciate all your advocacy and work, and it is really great seeing a lot of these projects happen. I would say as well, just keep petitioning city council as well. If they control the budget, they can certainly put more money into parks as well. So feel free to advocate on our behalf to help with that.
We did advocate through Councilor Candy a few years ago. What did Councilor Candy do? She put me in the back burner even for the standby committee when I requested, even through Jenny Paschillo. So I'm like, why am I being ignored on the standby
we've done all that, but we understand. But that's why we volunteer. And Mr. Antonelli knows that I've been painting them for 25 years here. I've been doing it for almost 40 years throughout, and I do it all over New England. But that's why I volunteer my time. I'm on the hands and knees, grinding the cracks and doing what a contractor would do with a full crew. And I've done it here, a couple of times, but it gets exhausting after a while, fixing. But we do appreciate Crompton. They did build Crompton about 8 years ago, so it's not like they've never done anything. I mean, we do appreciate the stuff that has been done, and we understand that there's other parks that need it as well. But the handball thing, it's been a little bit different in some ways. I've been here for a long time, and I've seen some of the things, and sometimes you'll see part of the park get fixed, and the only thing that's not touched is the handball court. In some cases, not in every case, you know, because like I said, I do appreciate the Crompton Park. Those courts are fantastic. They were redone last year, the floors, there's only 2 there, but, you know, so it's not like nothing, because a lot of the parks are coming around, and they've been doing, you know, he's been doing a great job. So it's just, my goal is to advocate for handball, so that's where, it's been here for 70, 80 years, and we just want to keep it alive. And when something is not done, like the ones that were removed from the valley and things like that, then it kind of dies in that area, you know, and then you just kind of lose affordable recreation, and, you know, so that's what it is. I mean, it's, but, you know.
And it meets the needs of community people that want to gravitate to the walls and take out their
Yeah.
anger and frustration.
Well, we have 3
on it.
locations, so we're just trying to protect and preserve them. But thank you so much.
Certainly, yeah, and we can connect and I can share that information with you.
Just one more question through the chair to the commissioner. When was the date we were supposed to hear back from the state about this Parklands grant? Was it the parks? It was the Parklands grant that you applied for South Worcester, I believe?
I didn't have a date on it.
Okay. All righty. I was looking at it, I've been trying to figure it out. It says that 120 days after the application's final due date, it would be, so it says more or less 6 months from July 8th, which would be Ms. Ortiz, Mr. Ortiz. So I was just referring to the application of the grant that Commissioner Antonelli had submitted. I looked online and it said that about 120 days, so is that 6 months? No, 6 months is 8. That's 4 months. So it said about 4 months after the submission date. So the final submission date was July 8th. So 4 months from that would be what, around November 8th or so. They should get a yes or a no about that Parklands grant that they applied for South Worcester Park. So that comes directly from the state's website. Just so you guys
maybe
know.
You might want to come to the November meeting.
So we should possibly know something by 4 months. It said 120 days or more. So we should hear something by then.
I would recommend to the commission, don't set your clock to that date.
It is the state.
We've had times where it's lasted until January or February.
Okay.
So I would, you know, if it happens and we know,
January?
don't worry, Ms. Ortiz will be one of the first people that we will reach out to. So
Okay.
we can do it at that point.
Okay.
So I don't want to waste their time on having them come here and then we have nothing to tell them either.
Yes, so he said, don't hold the state accountable to their deadlines. So, you guys will be the first notified, trust me, before, the rest of us. Yep, so you guys will get the yay or nay about that, okay?
And
For
thank you
sure.
for your advocacy.
For sure, thank you for coming.
If I can, if someone would like to make a motion on.
I
this item.
motion to
Fine.
file this item.
Second?
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Cacciaroni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Next item, item F, request of Park Spirit of Worcester to discuss the attached documents as it pertains to parkland used for non-park purposes. Who do we have? There we go. I didn't see you hiding back there.
Good evening. Rick Miller, President, Park Spirit. Just on a side note with the topic of the road humps and this speeding in Green Hill Park, to back up the commissioner's point, we entered in through Green Hill Parkway, and as we were passing the farm, we got passed on the left. So even today, it still goes on. Anyhow, Park Spirit respectfully requests that the Parks Commission, in coordination with the Office of the City Solicitor, provide a formal legal opinion regarding the status and protections of public parkland in the city of Worcester. The request rises from longstanding concerns over the repurposing of designated parkland for non-park uses, particularly educational. For over 6 decades, the city has repeatedly transferred or repurposed public parkland for school and other municipal uses. And make it clear, Park Spirit is not seeking the removal or demolition of existing facilities. Rather, we are looking for Parks Commission to formally request legal clarity and confirmation of the statutory and constitutional protections that apply to Worcester's public parks, both historically and presently. We respectfully ask that the Parks Commission seek the city solicitor's legal opinions and documentation on the following agenda items that are attached. In particular, Act 1882, Chapter 154. If this is not in effect, we want to provide provide the documents that prove that it was taken out of effect. Article 97, the status of Elm Park, in particular the Newton Hill, 60 acres that was added in 1888. Act 1960, Chapter 121. We'd like to provide copies of all relevant approvals of the authorizations of Act 1960, Chapter 121, including the Board of Parks Commissioners, the Worcester City Council, and the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, and provide copies of the signed 61 judicial decree referenced in the prior proceedings. Also, on the land transfer and surplus transactions, General Law 4015A, including proper surplus designation of parkland, formal transfer of approximately 20 acres from the Parks Department to the School Department, and also the final one, the Park Trust Fund, the William A. Richardson Park Fund. We'd like to know the current availability and permitted uses of the fund, and authorize parties who may request or administer disbursements. Last thing we request is that these documents be returned and presented to this commission within the next 3 months. Any questions?
Natalie, you can go, Natalie.
Go ahead.
Okay, try to make it simple for me, Rick. As I look the first 4 items, the historical protections, things like that, I mean, those are things that have happened, so I guess what are you looking for? I guess I'm trying to figure out, maybe the lawyer on our commission here can help me out here too. What are you looking for us to do? That's what I'm trying to, we're not a legal entity of the city, we're just an advisory commission.
We're hoping that this commission will request from the city solicitor's office the following things, that this Act 1882, Chapter 154, that it's still in effect, that it hasn't been taken out. And if it has, we'd like the documentation to prove that it has.
So, excuse me, through the chair, to the commissioner, or the,
Yep.
to the chair.
Not insulted.
So this, to kind of sum it up, I think I might have it here. Overall, what it sounds like is this is a legal purview where we as a Parks Commission are provided for as a regulatory committee, not an executive committee. But the city over the years has smushed us to an executive committee. And technically, from what I've read when it comes to the MGL, is that the commission is supposed to be like, the best example is the school committee. The Parks Commission in a city or town is supposed to operate like the school committee does, as a separate entity from the city council. And there's been no clarity of when it became an executive committee or an executive commission. And that is where the problem lies when it comes to the documents that they're talking and proposing about. is that there's been no clear, in the history of the documents that you can find online, there's no history taking away those rights and powers from this commission, or repealing them, or amending them. And they're asking if anything that has been done by the city council or any other body outside of this Parks Commission has been done legally. Did I say it right?
Yeah, let me give it a little clarity, especially with the Act 1882, Chapter 154. The confirmation we want that this is still in effect, because what it does, and you're right, Natalie, it puts this Parks Commission in charge of ensuring these parks do not get touched and they're public parks forever. I will tell you from what we're looking at over the past 4 decades, this is a user-approved law.
Citizen approved.
Yeah, so it's a voter-approved. So this law was put into effect back in 1884. So it's voter-approved, just like the CPA was done, right? You can't just throw it away. The city can't just hide it. This particular act has been left out of a lot of these school projects, when in fact it should have been brought up, especially in the case of the Doherty one. That's parkland. It has been parkland. When the applications were put in to go for that school funding, this was concealed. It wasn't brought up as part of the 1961. So I'm not going to take you all in the legal. All we're looking for is, with the city solicitor, confirm that this act is still in effect, which impacts your Parks Commission, because now it gives you the power to make sure, if the city comes back in again to take school land, or parkland for schools, you guys can come in and say, no, 1882 says you can't do that. It's protected. All public parkland is protected. So that's what we're looking for here, to make sure this is here. And just as a note, as part of, because I know some of you are aware, the class action lawsuit we had, Michael Angelini did confirm in appellate court that this is still in effect. It was never mentioned in 1960, which is when the land supposedly was taken for that school. So, just confirmation, that's still in play, and it's something that can be acted upon in the future, so we won't lose any more parkland. Article 49 and 97 is just for Elm Park, because that is just one park, even though it's sectioned by Park Ave. We want to make sure what the legal status is with that, because it should be all still 97 protected, because it is still parkland. Act 1960, Chapter 121, confirmation around these pieces here, because public record request has got us documentation that shows that the 1961 decree was not signed. So that's what we're looking for, status on that, to verify. And that was one piece of the document that made it legal that the city could go and take that parkland that was there. So we want confirmation. Somebody's got a signed copy of it, and verifying that that is a legal document that's there, still enforceable, and was correctly done. The land transfer, same thing. We put in a request to get, before you can take parkland, you gotta name it surplus and you gotta transfer it. So we're looking for the documentation that shows the process was legally followed to take that land in the 20 acres that's there. And for the final one, the Park Trust Fund, we just wanted, the details on that, because that also has been kind of rolled up and swooped behind the carpets. And there's over, as you can see, one of the documents, there's close to $1 million sitting on that fund, which all but $200,000 of it should be usable to do park improvement work. So we're looking for that. And just for a note for all of you, that William Richardson Park Fund does tie back to the Doherty project again. So that is one of the reasons why it was kind of pushed aside. So we're just looking for clarification, verification that these things exist, they were properly done, they're still in effect today, so that we can make sure that going forward, that what happened to Newton Hill doesn't happen to other parks in our city.
Through the chair to the speakers, could I just ask, are you asking for the city solicitor to say something different than the appeals court said in your decision?
We're asking for them to confirm that that act is still in effect today, and it still should be overseen by the Parks Commission. And it's an enforceable act that can be used moving forward.
Is that different from what the appeals court said in your case?
Well, the appeals court didn't say that, because actually our case got dismissed quickly by the side, because this is a pretty messy situation. But what the city has stated is, throughout the not the appellate court, the Superior Court, in their briefs, they stated that the 1960 Act repealed the 1882. That was their first statements. So, so what we're just looking for is confirmation to reinforce what was said in the appellate court and confirm that act is still there. We can still use it, and we can still use it to protect the parkland, all the public parks in Worcester.
Through the chair to the assistant commissioner. What's your response to this?
It's a legal response. It's really city's law department. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have all of that information. So it's really a legal response.
And as the Parks Commissioner, is this our responsibility to vote on something like this, to then pass it off to request another department to come up with this information?
That I don't know either. I was gonna bring this to the law department for a review and see what that looks like. But you know, it just came in last week, so I just didn't have time, and, you know, I had to have the agenda out for Tuesday, so I don't have anything from the law department on this as of right now. My recommendation would be to put it into old business, and let me see if I can get a response from the law department on what the process is or what that looks like, and then we can bring it back up, and you can decide at that point. That would be my recommendation.
Just as another note for you guys, with this 1888 that was 1882 that was there, was actually used by the Parks Commissioners back in the 1920s to stop them from putting a railroad along Park Ave in Elm Park. And that was the main piece that's there. They had the authority to go and say, no, you can't do this. So, just some history that's there.
We're literally just looking for validation that these documents are legit.
So I have a statement I kind of want to read into the record, and I'd like to see presented to the legal department. I would like to request a formal legal interpretation and a complete list of all current and past city Worcester ordinance rules and regulations, along with relevant Mass General laws and regulations pertaining to the parks, lands, acquisition, funding, and operations. Please include which laws are currently in effect, which are no longer in effect, and dates and legal processes by which any were repealed, amended, or removed. If the Parks Commission is not currently operating in accordance with these laws, ordinances, and regulations, how does the City of Worcester plan to identify and correct these issues to ensure compliance? And additionally, please provide an estimated timeline for when this review and response can be completed, and that is for the Law Department.
So just before we motion, if it's all right.
Okay.
I did have a question. I wanted to follow up on the account as well, that was referenced here, just because I'm like looking at the insert in our agenda. You know, there's close to $1 million there. You know, I'm just curious, you know, in terms of, Rob, are those funds available for park work, or do we know? Or, I mean, you know, I realize sort of it's a little peculiar how the city operates in terms of finances, but if that money is, you know, earmarked, it can only be used for parks, based off of just sort of the request. Do we know when this was last used, what we can use it for? You know, who gets to make those decisions?
So I have not used that account. We may have used it back in the late 90s, early 2000s, but I have not used that account I can't remember the last time that we've went after that account for anything. So I don't know when the last interaction on that is. My understanding would be is that it'd be a park account, so it would be used for park purposes, but we have not used that.
okay, and, you know, part of this, I'm just thinking, you know, based off of Mrs. Ortiz's comment before about, you know, trying to work on, you know, get a fence put in or other things, you know, that if there's potentially funding there, and, you know, I'm thinking in terms of too, if there's, you know, if there's a restricted gift, we can only spend the interest, things like that. We potentially have additional funds available for that project or other projects that you may have, you know, earmarked for other parks. I'm certainly interested in finding out if those funds are available to you, or to the department for any additional work. I would, at least, you know, from sort of the requests of getting information, I'm always game for getting more information. I would agree with Natalie on this, that, you know, we should refer this to, or that we should, you know, formally request that the city solicitor provide input about this request. You know, if they are unable to respond for some reason, or that it needs to proceed through a different channel, I think they need to formally say it must come through this way. You know, that I think that the city has an obligation to be transparent and open and respond to requests from, you know, organizations and residents within the city.
Through the chair to,
And not a lawyer, so.
speaking in my capacity as a commissioner
Yes.
and not as a lawyer,
Certainly.
despite my training, I suspect that the answer will have to do with something with Worcester changing its charter in the mid-'80s, changed its form of government. It's a different form of government than it was in 1882, and I suspect that when this act was passed, there was a formal Parks Commission that operated within the city government, and unlike us, who was, you know, merely an advisory commission here, advising the city manager on city policy. So I, you know, I'm not making any representations here from a legal standpoint, but I think that this refers to an antiquated form of government that might not exist anymore. But I also think the appeals court decision is sort of insightful here and sheds a lot more light on the details, the interplay of these old statutes, these old acts.
So would you see any, you know, would you have any, I guess, you know, do you think that there'd be benefit then to referring this over to the city solicitor to get a formal legal position from the city?
Perhaps a targeted question. It can get really broad really quickly, and I think it might be a simple answer if the city solicitor comes back and says, because Worcester changed its form of government upon adoption of its home rule city charter, then that might be the end of it, but I don't know.
That's the other thing, though, but if you look at the adoption, their new adoption, they say that we stay in, all committees and commissions stay in effect as they were provided in the MGL. Sorry, I promise I'm not a lawyer, but that's where I'm asking for clarification, is where has it been repealed and removed overall? It doesn't track. And that's what we need. We need to know where it's been repealed, and these sort of mandates have been given over to other departments or in other ways. It doesn't track.
I mean, I'll say that, you know, at least in my, you know, like I work in research, and for me, a big aspect of that is the, you know, if it's not written down, it didn't happen. And, you know, I would posit to assume that the law is very similar. If it's not written down, it didn't, you know, it didn't happen. So, you know, I would sort of support the idea of pushing this to the city solicitor and saying, provide us a response and provide us a timeline of when we can expect said response. You know, I think in the request, and please keep me honest, I think you had said 3 months. You know, again, depending on how tricky it is, I think that, you know, if we said we would like it in 3 months, and if they can't do that, then great, tell us when, you know, give us a deadline. I tend to prefer that people deliver based off of a deadline rather than just leaving it open-ended. You know, even if there's a reason that they can't do it, they should in theory be able to say, here's why we need more time for this. And I think it's a reasonable ask to that. You know, again, no one's from the request, no one's asking that buildings be torn down or anything like that. But I do think that you know, there's certainly been concerns about loss of parks in the city. I know, like, I live close to Duffy Field, and I know there was a lot of concern for quite a while about Duffy Field being pulled away and no longer, you know, being available as sort of park space. And the neighborhood was kind of up in arms about that for quite a while. You know, I think that these are reasonable asks, and thinking in terms of our capacity, you know, advocating and working, you know, sort of, you know, working for the betterment of the city parks, it's a reasonable ask to say, let's get an opinion. And I don't see it necessarily creating a harm. I don't know if.
If I may,
Yeah, there we go.
I'm sorry, I'm in agreement with that as well. I think we should find out from the city solicitor where we stand on that. I think we're the keepers of the park and we should be protecting them. And we should be able to answer people to be able to say, no, they can't come in and do this on parkland because of this. We should have that answer for them.
So, I guess in terms of, for this, would we be looking for a motion to request that the commissioner, I guess, request formal input from the city solicitor to answer the requested questions? And I'd want to split, if I can.
Split it up if you can, yeah.
Yeah, I'm scrolling back up to it in the agenda,
Okay.
just, joys of working digitally.
You want to split each one of those?
No, I'd like to split
I was
the
going to
account,
do the questions for the
trust
law and then the trust. Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yeah, we're on the same board. So I will make a motion that we formally request input from the city solicitor for items, sorry, what is this on the agenda?
They're in one. It's F.
Item F for items underneath, so item F, sort of 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the petitioner's request, and with a request that we receive feedback within 3 months, or that they
Status.
provide us a update with regards to timeline prior to that deadline.
Second.
You're gonna leave me hanging? Brian?
Oh,
Waiting for Natalie to second it.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Charteroni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
yes.
And then I'd like to make a motion to verify the status and terms of the William A. Richardson Park Fund, probate index number 36369, including the current availability of permitted uses of the fund, authorized parties who can request or administer disbursements. And that's it.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Charteroni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you.
In regards to that, I'd still like to see that we as a commission get a formal opinion of the interpretation of what this commission's actual duties are.
Would you like to see that prior to the response with regards to the?
I think you have to.
We
can make a motion.
have to, I'll make a motion for it. I
I think
sent,
there has to be another agenda, I think that has to be put on the agenda for next meeting.
well, here's the thing. It's in regards to this information because it comes with the funding piece of it. Because if it comes back that we are responsible for administering that fund in any way, shape, or form, we still have to know how and what and
Then
why.
we have,
and that's-
then we have to have it on the agenda to discuss it.
Correct.
We can't do that
Can't make
now.
a
ad lib.
motion on
Yeah.
anything
We
that.
can't make a motion on
is not
something
the
that might happen in the
agenda.
future,
Okay.
so. That's,
You could bring that for the next.
Just send it to us for the next meeting.
Okay,
I'll put it on.
okay.
last but not least on the agenda, request of
Oh.
Commissioner, I'm sorry.
something with that.
Oh,
Oh, okay,
I motion to table F,
Move it to old business.
or move it to old,
I'd move to old business.
move to old business, I'm sorry. I, motion to move, item F to old business?
Second?
Commissioner Bartholomew,
Yes.
Commissioner Charteroni,
Yes.
Commissioner Darty,
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato,
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Moving on to the final item on the agenda, request of Commissioner Turner to discuss permitting changes.
Yes, so I have put a list of suggested proposed changes to Permitting for parks,
You're looking specifically for sporting events, or
for,
that's?
yes,
Okay, I
I'm
think
sorry.
you have to.
For sport, sorry, long day. For sporting leagues and sporting events. I think it's been clumped in one with regular events for so long that it's kind of been blurred, and I don't think people understand that these leagues are there every single week. That is almost 26 weeks out of the year, if not more. And I personally live literally 50 feet from a park. And last night, per se, I'm listening to people playing baseball at 10 p.m. at night. So 9:30, 10 o'clock at night still. The lights go out at 10:01. So it definitely is something that I think has been overlooked because there was a common respect that has now been lost. And some of these leagues just push it to the limit. So I definitely think that the sporting events and sporting league permits do need some limitations within them. I've added 7, 8 different parts, and this is not just my experience. This is actually happening in more than just the park where I live. This is something that I hear from people that live on the opposite sides of town, that live near parks and sometimes don't even live as close as I live to a park. It's definitely, these are rules and regulations that I've gotten from other municipalities that currently have them in effect. And I am willing to bend and revamp or, get input, but I do think that these are some specific rules that should be part of our permitting and should be enforced.
I'll start, if I may.
Mhm.
Just a couple, I sympathize with Commissioner Turner, with the, I guess, noise, around the park and the leagues that play there. Just going over some of these items, like, requesting league rosters, that's, a lot of the teams that come here are out-of-town teams.
Mhm.
You're never gonna have, it can't, you might say I'm playing a team from Framingham tomorrow, they cancel, all of a sudden you schedule the team in New Hampshire. You're asking somebody to update the rosters, get them to Millie, maybe on a Friday night before a game on Saturday. I can't, it's feasibly impossible, physically impossible. I don't think we have the infrastructure to maintain it, to watch it. I can understand I know what you're getting at. I think it's too difficult.
Okay.
Can I interject for one item related to that, if I may?
Sure.
So were you looking for rosters for all teams playing, or simply the roster from the permit holder? Like, for example, if,
Well, that's the problem. The permit holder might be, say, Joe's Baseball. He holds that permit every Saturday from 8 to 2. He gets that permit in February, knowing every Saturday, then they go and start scheduling games. Might be 7 different teams under Joe's Baseball. It's a,
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Joe might
Okay.
not have a team.
and
Gotcha.
so it's a, I understand, it's not like every field we have is a little league where they're all Worcester kids, they're all Worcester adults, or they're all, it is a dynamic process.
I didn't know that.
But I understand where she's trying to get at by knowing who's on that field at that time.
and I
But-
appreciate the clarification, so.
I have no problem with doling out punishment when if that's the last thing we have to do. Illegal substances are just that.
Do you want, I got plenty of video.
I'm not buying tonight. Sound and amplification. I do know it gets out of hand. Again, we've talked about this before. It's getting the police, how do we get the police involved? Is there someone that we can call on a regular basis? The only other one that league's vacating after 8 p.m. That one's a tough one for me too, only because, especially during the week, you have little leagues that they play 2 games on a night, 5:30 and 7:30. You're going till 9:30 at night.
sound ordinance kicks in at 9 o'clock. There should be nobody on those fields after 9 o'clock. A lot of them like to hang out and hang around.
So that, we're talking different, we're talking different leagues at that. Trust me, at 9:30, mom and dad want to get out of there and get home. It's just tough because you have X amount of field time for X amount of teams to play. You need those nighttime hours to get the field time in. Especially with the summer like we had this year where 13 Saturdays in a row were rained out. You're trying to get kids out there, just like we did with, with soccer, say, back in the day, as we kick it old school, shall we say. So I'm open for discussion on a lot of these things. Those are the two ones that kind of stuck out to me that I can't quite back 100%.
That's fine.
That's all.
So just chiming in with some of this, I sort of see, I see issues with the league rosters too. I see, with concerns regarding names, privacy, things like that. Is one of the concerns I have there. I sort of see why you would potentially want that as well, so that if we know something's happening, who's responsible, who's doing this. The illegal substances item with regards to this, I think too, we sort of said it before that, the leagues are the ones who get the permits, they have people coming, but at the same time, I sort of feel they have an obligation to be responsible for their guests, the people who are coming to spectate, they're responsible as well. Because even just, if we're thinking kids' little league, it may not be the kid or the sibling or the parents, it might be, uncles or aunts, and if they're misbehaving, that's a problem still. And I think that the league does have an obligation to make sure that the people who are attending, and sort of, observing for the game, they have a responsibility for their guests as well at the parks. Regarding the sound amplification, the currently, and just remind me to the commissioner, do we currently allow use of amplified sound? Is it limited by certain parks have facilities for that, certain ones don't?
Excuse me, we have allowed it, and the sound ordinance is 50 feet from the property, not from the source, the origin source, but from the property. So in some cases, our residents or others that are near a park are less than 50 feet. But that's the way the ordinance reads, is 50 feet from the property.
What is 50 feet from the property?
So you cannot audibly hear or
Is it
audibly
decibel
make
rating?
out
Okay.
the sound at 50 feet. And I'd have to look at it or have it for you to explain it exactly, but you're not supposed to be able to really understand the words, or, if it's a muffle, that's different than a, full-on music kind of component to it. So, but it's 50 feet from the property.
So for that, is there any way to, for the facilities that have amplified sound, is there any way to sort of put a limiter on that of it can't exceed X decibels? Or?
I think a lot of it is it's portable now.
Yeah.
It's all portable. You buy that portable speaker. It's
Like
Yeah.
Beaver Brook, we don't have it. Some of the Little League fields have, systems that are there, but most of it is you go to BJ's and buy a $150 speaker, and,
Yeah.
you can rattle someone's house by, a quarter mile away on it. So they're pretty dynamic in that item.
So, I think,
Can I just interject, please,
Certainly.
excuse me?
no, it's your item, please.
The thing is that with the amplified sound, what the problem is, and Commissioner Antonelli totally gets what I mean. He said it at the last meeting. He was down on Lovell Street, and he heard what was coming from Park Ave all the way down on Lovell Street and May Street. When it's a sound issue around my neighborhood. But my biggest issue with the sound coming from the park is it's not one day a week. It's not a Saturday. This is every day of the week there's a league there. I've got people there Monday nights till 9, 10 o'clock at night. I've got people there Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, and Thursday nights. Fridays, it's sometimes. Then I've got an all-day Saturday from 11 o'clock in the morning until they leave, right? Whenever I finally call the cops, right? So and that's just the park issue. That does not include the people riding around with their stereo systems. That does not include the people in Big Y parking lot late at night. That does not include the club down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning. That does not include the people in the liquor store parking lot hanging out that the liquor store doesn't take care of. So the thing is that it's a multitude of sound issues in that area, but the largest one is when it's coming from the park, and even on a work night, I can't sleep, or people can't sleep. And you know what? And I've seen this go on at Elm Park. Like, I know it drives those folks crazy over there.
So I'm just thinking perhaps with regards to that, you know, Rob, can you see any issues with simply saying we're not going to allow amplified sound at these games? You know, it means no music. I don't know how it, you know, and I don't know, you know, Commissioner Tetroni, you might have an opinion with regards to, you know, I don't know if they use this for umpires or calling up batters or what.
I'm loud enough.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way.
Oh, we know.
Like, you know, I feel like I'm also loud enough for this kind of thing, but it's, do we see an issue potentially just saying, hey, moving forward, we're not going to allow amplified sound for these games to make, frankly, the parks a more pleasant experience for the people living around it and the other people who are in the park doing other things outside of the, you know, the games?
Well, I think through the chair, I think what we're doing is, you know, punishing everybody for the few. You know, for a Little League team, it's a big deal to get your name announced when you're coming up to bat or during announcements or whatever it is. It's a big deal for a Little League kid or for a soccer kid, right? So, you know, you'd be punishing that side of it as well, right? And saying, okay, we're not going to allow anything. And then we're gonna go into, well, does that mean we're not gonna do for events either? Because then you're gonna get pointed at and say, well, you allow it for events, but you don't allow it here. Or, you know, we have multitude of events at Institute Park or the Common or University, but you can't have that there because you've limited it here. Now you're not playing fair, right? So I think I understand the issue. Like, I get it. It's just how do you look to try to do that and enforce that? And, you know, I think park security works as hard as they can to get there and address it
They're amazing.
and do that. And the problem is that, you know, we've instructed them to sit there and stay for a while, but at some point we're getting another call or we need to go someplace else. And then it's like, oh, they're gone, and the volume goes back up again.
So
So I think that's part of it. I think maybe, you know, we on the park side need to do a better job of when we get the complaint to do it on a individual basis and tell them, well, listen, you've had your one strike. We gave you the opportunity. You chose not to do it. And now you can't have a speaker anymore.
So based off of how this is written, the no league shall use amplified sound unless explicitly authorized in the permit. Could we just include this as a yes, no, you know, do you want to use amplified sound? Yes, no, you know, people could amend their permit if they,
Yeah.
hey, we actually want to do this, so that we could do that. But at the same time, for potential bad actors, we keep getting complaints, we've come out.
Well,
You know,
so I think
and
the
then-
commission needs to come up with what that looks like.
Okay.
Right? So, you know, we've tried to work with leagues, and I think we've gotten some leagues better, and then they falter back. Like, even at Beaver, we've worked with the leagues that are there to try to have them call park security when they're on site, and then call park security when they leave, right? So then, when we get the call that there's noise, right, we understand at that point that, okay, that league is gone, now it's that remnant that still hangs around and stays there. So that's a different issue than going after the league, because, you know, we didn't get the complaint when the league was there because somebody was in control of whatever the volume was or whatever else. So my recommendation would be is for the commission to sort of come up with an idea of, is it one strike, 2 strikes, or, you know, like, what does that look like until a point where you completely just say, you know, at one point, okay, for the next 2 weeks, you got nothing. And then that's just the way it's going to be. I don't know. So we got to think through that a little bit on that end of it, because I think that's the fairer way across the entire community to be able to only affect the bad ones that are really causing the problem, but having it stricter, right? So we know that after one, we're gonna give you one shot here, right? Everybody, you know, I've had it at Rockwood Field where they choose to turn up the music during maintenance of the field at 9:30 at night, just because, right? So it's, you know, so you give them that one shot, but if the Parks Commission says, well, we're not gonna allow that anymore. We're gonna allow you one shot, and then after that, it's done. Maybe that's it, or maybe it's one, and then the second time it happens, then it's done for 2 weeks, or a month, or whatever it may be. So,
No,
so I'm just trying to balance it out and be, you know, compliant across all of it, and be able to not get.
And I
trouble.
appreciate that, you know, having not played Little League in a very long time, longer than I probably care to think about. The last question I have, and then I'm sure there are questions from some of my fellow commissioners. With regards to the item here, you know, that Parks Commission can take actions for any permit holder or league that causes damage to parks property or facilities. I know you all kind of already do that. The question I had is unpaid fees or financial obligations related to permits. Have we had any issues in the past of people who haven't paid fees or you know, costs related to permits, things like
Yes.
that? We
So what usually happens with unpaid fees is that, in some, we gotta be understanding with the leagues and the events, right? In many cases, leagues and events don't have the available funding up front. So we try to work with them, so we want it up front, right? We would rather have it before your event happens so that we're not the ones having to chase you, right? But in a lot of cases, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt because there's, you know, a league is still taking in their registration money up until that second week of the season or whatever else. And so we give them a little bit of a grace period on that. Same thing with our events. The event is the money, is where they gain their money, right? And people are paying them for being a vendor, or they're doing this or they're doing that. So we give them that. Are there ones that continue? Yes, and then we don't give them a permit the following year. Yeah, we do, they'll say, yeah, I'll pay you, and then we get burnt and we say, okay, well, all right, now we're not gonna play this game anymore. So we'll do that in trying to be understanding, but yeah, we'll pull someone's permit. We already have that as part of our rules and regs, that you need to be paid up for the year prior before a permit is approved on for the next year. So, but we do have that problem. And then we'll have problems where Eric Stratton is the commissioner of a league or an event, and then all of a sudden, it's Natalie Turner the next year.
Yes.
And then we start catching, you know, then once we sort of look at that, we'll catch on, because park security is there, maintenance is there, they'll see that, and then we'll catch that on, and then we'll say, okay, well, we're all done here, because you're trying to get around the whole system.
That's what I was trying to prevent.
And I was gonna say, I mean, maybe with that too, is, you know, if we are running into issues of, you know, unpaid fees and, you know, things like that, do we level any kind of additional penalties? Like, if you haven't paid your fees, then, hey, there's an additional penalty, like, you know.
So we haven't, all we've done is said you can't have your permit.
Okay.
And it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, we get some small ones here or there. We have a couple that are outstanding right now. It's hit or miss. It's not a major problem that I think we need to revamp the entire system at this point.
Okay. That answers it for me. Sure, there are probably questions over here. I'm sorry if I've dominated this.
No, I think most of the questions, oh, go ahead, online, please. Andy?
I'm sorry. Touching on what Nick said regarding the Little Leagues and even the commissioner said, maybe some type of reminder sheet can be given to everybody who pulls the permits. Maybe we adjust it a little bit that says you can use amplifiers, but music gets shut off at a certain point. Then maybe give everyone a heads up is that we've had complaints throughout the city that we're going to have to start eliminating the amplifiers if people don't abide by the rules. There's one comment I would want to make on that, but I'm agreeing with the commissioner. You don't want to lose out on the little kids get their names mentioned. But I think the concern is loud music, and maybe that needs to be curbed at a different time where the music stops at 8 or 9 o'clock, but you know, the speaker can go later than that, as long as it's just speaking over the phone and speaking over the amplifiers at a normal voice sound.
Normal voice.
So I guess what would you be looking for us to do for this?
I think overall, what I was trying to do with the league roster was to prevent that, me being a president of a league, and then next year, it's Eric, because he's trying to avoid me getting us in trouble type deal. That's overall what I was trying to accomplish with getting the rosters for, and updating them. But even if it's just I guess that one could be rethought in some way. The thing is that overall, these are things that should already be, some of these are already things that should be already on our permits, I believe.
So I'm gonna, sorry, I was gonna interrupt to say, I think we're at 2 hours.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
I'd like, if somebody wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion
10
for,
minutes?
I was gonna say, to extend the meeting by 10 minutes.
Second.
Commissioner Bartholomew?
Yes.
Commissioner Cacciaroni?
Yes.
Commissioner Darty?
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato?
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
We can't see Mr. Serrato anyways.
So, here's my recommendation, okay? We're working on fees and policies now.
Right.
That we're gonna bring to you in November.
Yep.
Let us look at this, and let us look at what we have for, what we already have in there, right? And we'll update that to come up with some sort of idea of how we can better maybe manage some of these items.
Yep.
And we'll put it into the round, and then we'll get you your update for the November 20th meeting of the rules and regulations, and then we can further discuss it at that point. So my recommendation would be is to file this item, and we will take this under consideration in our rules and regulation review, and then we'll bring something back to you for the November meeting. Based on these issues, understanding where we are.
That works.
So Jeff is here, he's the one that's been working on it, so he understands where we are because he has firsthand knowledge of it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll work it out that way.
So I will,
That would be my
I
recommendation.
think you all do.
then I will make a motion to file.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, I didn't know you could second your own
Okay.
item.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Commissioner Cacciaroni?
Yes.
Commissioner Darty?
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato?
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
And
We have nothing on the table, we have no
I
items.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third.
Commissioner Bartholomew?
Yes.
Commissioner Cacciaroni?
Yes.
Commissioner Darty?
Yes.
Commissioner Serrato?
Yes.
Commissioner Stratton?
yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Abstain.
Adjourned.